sure. It gives her a couple hours. So, you know, she waited.
I'm here for the same. Either, but I did watch the video. I think his name was Andre in it, I believe. Yeah, because they were doing budget things for the housing and all. Yeah, it's a good video. It's pretty good.
And you're planning.
I'm in the planning department, so I'm here for the zoning items. Pretty good. He's entertaining too in his own right. I'm not sure.
There's no question. I bet you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. You want to renew it?
I'm one of the new ones.
Oops.
Just dropped it. I know you got me all nervous.
I know it.
Oh.
What's wrong?
That's Judy Craig. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to be.
We haven't had anybody who's been up front there.
That's a place, huh? No.
Oh, I printed, okay.
I printed the adopted that. No, it's fine. It's probably still just work because we.
Right
I
there.
sent out a letter last Tuesday, so everybody.
Are there signs, do people sit anywhere in particular?
Just,
So I
you
should
know,
know.
shuffles around different places, whenever, whoever.
Okay.
Beginning of the meeting, just.
Yeah.
send it out.
And speakers come up here?
Speaker will come up.
It's gonna
Yeah.
defer to the May meeting.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, you betcha. What area do you?
Bill and
What is?
Greenleaf.
Yeah.
Greenleaf?
Yeah, over by Tallgrass off of, between, Rock and Webb off 21st, Tallgrass Country Club over there. Not too bad. We've been fortunate, a lot of kids moved. Yeah, we have children. Kind of nice. Good. Not sure if everybody feels, you know, it's an older community, but we have a lot of turnover right now. So it's been kind of nice.
It's good for community.
It is, and everybody's kind of reinvesting in the houses again, sprucing them up, updating them, so it seems like it's been the right kind of turnover. And my son, we have a couple kids, but one doesn't go to school yet. He goes to Central Christian, and then I have the Candle Club. Yeah, so we live in pretty much a little tent in bubble, which is kind of nice. And now this, just right down the street, so it's not too far out. It is.
I'm kind of-
So you're on your way to the mid-year. Yeah, okay. So. Just gotta listen to the right person. And I'm sorry, I'm Judah. I don't know
Oh,
if I'm-
hey, Judah, yes.
Very nice to fish.
Yes,
He's a
yes.
CSI in the city.
Okay, I was there for the Rotary.
Oh, yeah. That's sure. Yeah, for the news. Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. We're thrilled to have that out there.
Yeah.
You
You heard it bragging, I said, I'm not sure you said a lot of good people through
Oh,
there.
yeah, sure,
I didn't, I guess
sure.
I didn't really know that.
Yeah, well, no.
Teresa's the best CSR.
I didn't know that that's who you were.
Now we know. She's the best CSR.
Oh,
I
awesome.
know. Oh, thank you, Philip. Thank you.
That would be,
Yeah.
entertaining.
So it's just more of the, like, the approval of the best minutes.
Oh, I gotcha.
Because then I have
I
Yeah,
guess,
because then she gets to put her own minutes in the minutes.
yeah, that's perfect. That's
She
awesome.
just kind of sits there like this, you know. Put her on- you know.
Oh, she's doing something.
my gosh.
Absolutely.
Duties that are favorable is, you know.
that.
I don't.
Because you have a packet.
Yeah, and I, from what I understand, I can't vote to approve the minutes because I wasn't here for the minutes, right?
You'll abstain.
Abstain, perfect. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Real.
Actually, good right now. Challenge we have is so close to the front door. Sometimes I think it may, right when they walk in, they may or may not,
Yeah.
but once you get back around, we don't. It's probably what we get. Happens finally this summer, so I'm really excited for that. But it's been fun to meet a lot of good people there, but she ended up coming in and the smoke didn't
Yeah,
bother her.
no. She
Well,
was,
good.
she was okay with it.
Good,
So, that well.
good. How long have you been on this tab?
Let's see. I think it might have been on- It was about, this is, I think this is the third year, I think.
Okay, awesome.
I think. Matter of fact, I think we do very end tonight, I think. too.
Yeah. Is it just me or are there others swearing in too that are?
All of you will be sworn
Oh,
into
okay.
because everybody's virtual at the club in March.
Okay.
And so this will be the first meeting, the full meeting where everybody will be sworn in.
And really with the district too, we really don't get sworn at much either.
That's awesome. I serve on Pete Meitzner's advisory board. We don't get near the action as what a dad does, but we've only had one semi-confrontational zoning case. And fortunately, there wasn't any swearing in that either, but you know, people are passionate about what they do.
Yeah, my youngest daughter, she was years ago went to Central Christian
Oh, yeah?
and back when Joe Pike was pastor.
Yeah.
it was just kind of, 289 people there and then
Yeah.
just got lost in the room. So forth.
What year did she graduate?
Well, let's see. love it. Well, I mean,
And once they know the structure, they do fantastic. It just.
And him starting there young is like that too.
Yes, it is. How you doing? I can't complain. Hanging away.
Like thunder for a minute, I had to, or an hour ago, so it's your fault, my fault.
How are you doing?
Very brief minutes left for us.
Only two.
Yeah, I know, we'll go fast.
I've already somebody's.
Data's then.
Thankfully, that's not my world right now. I have 2 active large scale solar.
Oh, gosh.
So
In
They-
addition to data centers.
Thank you, thank you. Hello. How are you, buddy?
wonderful.
So, tell Judah, what do you call me?
Well, this year.
I know, I'm not gonna fall this time. Okay. I tripped one time. It was a big deal.
She's actually, I absolutely, that's lady
Kelsey.
I like it.
back.
So, best council member, Becky, and then also the best minutes ever.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
from
you.
what I've ever seen, so-
I don't know if I'm the best council member, but I like to be called council lady. That makes me happy. So Teresa, we are.
Like it. I think that, perfect, Chris. A little bit today.
You're
Just kind of
perfect.
Business casual or better kind of thing.
Yes, you are perfect. So we still, Teresa, we still have the 2 cases, right? But,
Just in case.
that one tonight. It was going to be, and they got moved. Okay, I thought something new. I was like, "Ah."
See what you see.
Mr. Bruce.
How's everybody? Good evening, sir. Good.
Finest frog hair.
Yeah, I passed my latest surgery. Congratulations.
Yay.
That's good.
That's pretty easy one.
So there, I asked, but is it, do people sit the same spots?
Dick usually sits next to me,
Okay.
because he's the fearless timekeeper when we need it, and he's
I like
he's brutal, and we let him do it.
Bruce, I didn't know if I could shake your hand.
It's okay.
What?
Greg, nice to meet
You
you.
lent
sir.
him
I
to District
appreciate
2.
you. Thank you. Excited to be here.
First name was what?
Judah,
Judah. Of all the names,
why is that?
that's a good name.
Well, thank you.
What?
Mom
Can
did.
you lend
that was
to District 1? What's the big thing about Judah?
Actually, it came with high expectations.
Oh.
King David, oh my.
They
I'm
don't take
proud of Judah, the good brother. Yeah.
with Joseph or
Yeah.
Brandon.
And then there's Solomon,
Yeah.
serial
Yeah,
polygamist.
he really got after it. Yeah,
I didn't review those.
Yeah, go ahead. Kind of, that's kind of what I was doing. I read it earlier, but
I've always said about
it's
Lex.
always nice to, fresh.
Don't just kind of let people talk.
That's what it's. Not sure, but I. You know, according to, I checked because I got crap. And according to. Elsewhere supposed to check. Unless they have to. Oh. No, we don't roll that way.
Really kind.
Roll.
Yeah,
this
that's amazing.
way.
I'm skimming.
Yeah, I was reading.
Yes, it is.
but I just to kind of get up to speed with perhaps
time
what's
went
going on. But I love it.
And they go to that one.
There's a lot of cars out there, but they're not.
Not here. I'm like, I know. It's almost like.
So
it's
do
really-
you want to-
Books in there with paper and everything.
I know.
Move for like a year.
I don't know.
Maybe they could just borrow you.
I like to. You know what?
Oh, see, True's like this, but
Who's the?
Joseph Shepherd. Hi, how are you? I'm Becky.
Oh, I'm Chief.
Nice to meet you. Are you here for a case today or
Yes,
for a zoning case?
It is a cultural.
Which way? Okay, I just want to make sure. We can move it, and one got moved. So
Wait, no. She ran it. I don't think she.
this one? Is it 0008 is the one that got moved?
So it gets a little late. Damn one doesn't.
Let's see.
that is, I just.
So it's this one.
One of the,
Yes.
one of the versions.
There you go. I just wanted to make sure we weren't gonna have you be here. And, well, yeah, when you should be here in May, right? Hi, how are you? Hey, Chris, good to see you. You doing well?
How are you?
Good, how's the family?
Good.
Traveling in. What's a little bit? Yeah. And then wait, right? We're not all fancy like you are. You doing good? Busy time?
Lisa?
Colored ink.
Yes. All right, we'll get you out of here as fast as we can. You got it.
There's. He's my counterpart on the. Not half of them. Problems. And so then they then create a priority of like, we need to clear in the zoning code that gives, or in the comprehensive plan that gives us style and other hanging on for years now where in years so where every other property in the county.
Speaking of projects, do you know what's going on with 37th Street with? I don't know. Could be Bel Air.
Miss Joe,
Somebody wants to.
thanks for being here. Good, appreciate it. You doing well?
Yes.
How are you? I'm doing okay, thank you. It's my happy place.
East of Woodlawn.
So I tell people I was in town for 5 years and
Yeah,
been
I know
council
a quarter of
7
the
years.
area.
12 years, the second Monday of every month at 6
Oh,
p.m. I've been to the
this
same
property.
place. Keeps you out of trouble one time a
Yes.
month.
But like, that's in.
Mr. Jim has the fans.
You know what, really?
It's all been
about it-
cleared out.
Yeah,
Really good.
about it.
Good.
It's kind of scary.
So.
Kinda scary.
It's scary, everything's running very smoothly.
He's doing great.
You're right, at one.
Couldn't be better, except he leaves tomorrow on business, but he'll be back in a few days. And I'm so busy. And I think late tonight at home and out here. We just can't win. We can't buy a break. Miss Teresa, anybody online?
I think that's the color I had.
Cool. Microphone.
My hair.
My house backs up to that.
I hadn't
I
bothered to go looking for
you.
it.
I assumed it was the.
Need one more body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's going
What's the point of egress?
It's a single family.
Oh, here's
We
Aaron.
have-
Okay.
we don't have an active case on it right now, nor have.
Hi, Aaron. I see.
That's all I heard out.
Working now.
Indeed.
Houses are better.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, yes. Sir, family. So just.
Well, yeah, because I'll be last.
I bet it's gotta be.
Well, yeah, we tried to get. This for on Thursday. I said next month, I meant next week. I'm sorry, the 14th. Yes, I told him, I said, we can, it'll be a week. but-
Yeah.
Yep, it all worked out.
Cool.
Okay. That awesome. Good growth. Oh, you're.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Tracy?
There we go.
Breathe deeply, and out slowly.
All right, we are 2 minutes late. I'm very sorry, but we just wanted to make sure we had quorum, and we do indeed. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. This is the City of Wichita District 2 Advisory Board meeting. I am Becky Tuttle, and it is my privilege and honor to serve on Wichita City Council representing District 2. It is Monday, April 13th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We are located in the community room at the Rockwell Branch Library. So thank you, everyone, for joining us in person and anyone who's joining us on social media or Teams. We're going to go ahead and do introductions of all of the board members. We do have a few folks who are joining us on Teams, so we'll make sure that we get them. But what we do in District 2, and especially because we have a new district advisory board member, is we introduce ourselves with our name, the district that we represent, or excuse me, the homeowners association or neighborhood that we represent, and your favorite thing about Wichita, and you can't repeat what somebody else said. So we are going to start with Chris, who we haven't seen in person because he's been virtual, and we're glad you're here.
Chris Broderick, near 37th and Woodlawn, Northbrook HOA. And the thing I like most about Wichita is the short wait times at the airport.
I think you just made like 3 people mad.
Let me go.
You're welcome.
My name is Aaron Miller. I represent the Bonnie Bright Home.
My name's Teresa Beasy. I'm your community services representative for District 2. And my favorite thing about Wichita is the swim team at East High School. Doing very well. My daughter's on the team, and go Blue Aces.
Go, go. Awesome. And thank you for all you do, Teresa. You make this look easy and we know it's not. So thank you for keeping us all corralled.
Very good. Okay, my name is Jim Groff, and I'm representing with the Question Estates HOA, 27th area direction. And let's see.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't make it.
And happy to see you.
I can take a point of privilege. One of the things that I'm very excited about is I have requested that the city for the first time be a Friends of McConnell sponsor. That's something that we haven't done in the past. The county does it, Andover, Derby, other communities, municipalities around us does. So the city manager, and I'm not sure what the next steps and when it'll be, but we will be an official Friends of McConnell partner, which I think we should be for sure. We always say that folks who come to McConnell, the airmen and women who come to McConnell, are here by chance, but we hope they stay by choice. So.
Good evening. My name is Tim Johnson. I represent the Phillip Bend neighborhood. And this evening, I'd like to lift up and recognize Wichita State University's women's bowling team who made it all the way to the NCAA final this past week.
Awesome.
My name is Faith Martin. I represent the East Ridge Neighborhood Association, and without sounding like I'm pandering, Teresa and her whole crew are my favorite thing about Wichita right now. There was a leadership conference put on by the city on Friday, and all of the CSRs did such a great job and really good panels, and everything was super organized. So just thanks to them, and I don't think we get shout outs very often, but it was really, really good.
She does here for the amazing.
That's true.
I will know that.
Thank you.
My name is Judah Craig. I'm the newest one here to the DAB. I am from the Greenleaf HOA. Thrilled to be a part of this, be more involved in the community. My favorite thing about the city is the community itself. I get to travel a little bit here and there, and it's a fantastic place to be family. I'm Bruce Gass. HOA.
It's because I took her airport.
Teresa?
Hi, are you calling me? I can't really hear very well.
Okay, we got you now. Can you just introduce yourself and your favorite thing about Wichita, Tracy? And Teresa's working on the sound.
Tracy Adams, I represent the Sheffield Place community. And my favorite thing about Wichita, for the last weeks or so, we've had just wonderful weather and I've appreciated that. So I don't know if anyone else said that. I travel a lot and I do appreciate the change of the seasons and just recognizing that. And I appreciate that being here in Wichita.
Awesome. Tracy, can you hear now?
I hear you. Yes, I do.
We'll make sure everyone uses their outside voice, okay?
Okay, don't mean to be a burden. I just can't hear very well when they're away from the mic.
Everybody speaks up, and I'll keep my eye on my text. If you can't hear, just let us know, okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Tracy, for joining us. All right, next we have a special event that we do once a year. I am happy to have Deputy City Clerk Jo Hensley join us, and she's going to do the oath of office. The one thing that I always like to say is that when District Advisory Board members take the oath of office, it's the same oath that we take as City Council members, except we say City Council and you say District Advisory Board member. So that shows, I hope y'all and the community, the importance that we place on these boards and opportunities for people to serve in the community. So with that, we'll let you come to the microphone and take the oath of office with our crew.
All right. There's not a microphone though, is there? There is? Okay. Thank you. As Becky said, I'm Deputy City Clerk Jo Hensley, and I'm going to hand out these forms. They each have your names on them. Tracy, I can email these to you tomorrow, and then if you'll just sign them and get them back to me. Everyone else, I'd like to take them back with me this evening. So I'm going to hand them out now. The top two forms just sign, and then the third is yours to keep. Try not to make too much noise. I think that's right. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So there are 2 pages, so please make sure you've signed the first and the second page. And then we're going to read the oath of office out loud. If you'll raise your right hand, repeat after me. And Tracy, can you hear me?
I hear you, yes.
Okay, if you'll also raise your right hand and repeat after me as well. I state your name.
I, Tracy Adams,
Solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
oh, I'm just reading that you need my camera on. Hold on. I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Hold on.
And the Constitution of the State of Kansas.
And the Constitution of the State of Kansas.
And faithfully discharge the duties.
And faithfully discharge the duties.
Of the District 2 Advisory Board.
of the District 2 Advisory Board
for the city of Wichita, Kansas, so help me God.
for the city of Wichita, Kansas, so help me God.
Thank you.
You know my time.
And then the dabs are a little bit different because those are appointed yearly. And then if you do serve on other boards, those are usually two. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for being here this evening.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
your
you
time
very
very much.
much.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda for April 13th, 2026. I've asked everyone, but I just want to make sure people who may be following us online, if you're here for zoning 2026 0008, this one was deferred until May 2nd DAB meeting. So we're only gonna have the 2 zoning cases and not 3 for this evening. But with that, I hope everyone's had an opportunity to see the revised agenda for this evening. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Fantastic. Next is approval of the minutes from March 9th, 2026. It was a wonderful DAB meeting. Thank you to everyone who could attend. Teresa, as always, did a fantastic job on the minutes. Are there any changes or corrections that need to be made? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for March 9th, 2026. Is there a motion? Faith with a motion, Aaron with a second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Does anyone need to abstain because they weren't here? Chris and Judah. Tracy, you got it all? Teresa, you got it all? Okay, great, thank you. Is there anyone here this evening who would like to speak on an item that isn't on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we're gonna go right into staff reports. I don't see Wichita Police Department here this evening. We'll make sure that I'm sure they're exactly where they need to be. We will make sure that we get a written report to be sent out to all the district advisory board members and in the minutes. Next, we have fire. We have Battalion Chief with us. How are you this evening?
Good.
Good. Thanks for being here.
Can you hear me? All right. My name's Terry Gresham, Battalion Chief, Wichita, just under 20. Roughly 5 years now.
The microphone a little closer.
More
Thank
closer.
you.
There you go. Gotta hold it, okay. Thing I like about Wichita is, I was gonna say the weather too. My weather, I guess I like it because it's always surprising you. You never know what it's gonna be, and I kind of like it that way.
We'll give you that one.
So I like that more. We've sent our DAB report. It usually comes in the Teresa.
Yep.
So that's going to be online. I can go over a few things on it. We had a couple of major fires or what. We had the one that was down. Excuse me. It was down at Fort at the, I can't think of the name of the business now, but it's where they do the milling of soybeans and everything down there. They had a big dryer. It's about 100 foot tall. It caught on fire on the side. So for us, those are hazardous. So when you usually see we're making sure we're evacuating them, and then we're investigating and taking our time as we handle it, just to make sure we don't have any explosions or anything. There was also a train derailment that happened not too long after that on March 25th. The biggest thing, and that was up north off of 135, and those who don't know, the train came off track. It took out 2 pillars. It should have been on the east side of the road, canal route, and that's why that got shut down. I'm going to cover some other stuff, not necessarily what's inside there, mostly the fire weather. We all know it's dry. We know it's windy, and we just need to make sure people are being cautious when they're lighting up stuff on the outside. Recreational stuff is fine, but a lot of times it's still the cigarettes that are thrown out the windows. Catches the side on, but we also want everybody to be aware of what they have next to their house. Don't don't keep the trash bags by your house. Don't keep the stuff that's gonna be flammable, that's gonna light up if there is a fire. Keep it as far away from your house. Try to clean the leaves out away from your house. That'll help prevent it if the fire does creep up on there, that we'll be able to put it out quicker, or it just won't go anywhere because it won't have a wick. For those of us who sometimes don't mow our grass right away, or we have that garage that we may not take care of as much as we should, that grass that grows up and then gets between the siding just becomes a wick, believe it or not, and it'll crawl up. And we may knock down the fire, but it's still burning behind the siding. So usually what happens is you'll see us come up, then we'll start tearing siding off and people get kind of concerned. Well, it's mainly because we've had that in the past, and it's just lessons learned that if we don't do that, we'll come back later and your garage will be on fire. The other thing is I would like to talk about like go bags. I'm not talking about go bags where you need to evacuate your house, but something that you have to where you can take it down in your basement or into your closet for tornadoes, stuff like that. The biggest thing is people will go down their basements, they'll have nothing. So at least be prepared that if you need to go down into your basement or you need to go to work safe, you have food, water, something that you can sustain yourself on at least for a little bit, especially a flashlight or some kind of light that's going to shine, whether it's your cell phone or anything. But the biggest thing is if it's nighttime and you hear us outside and say your house did get hit, flash a light through a crack or anything, that's going to help us find you and get you out quicker. Couple of updates to Station 15 open on the 29th. No, darn it, it was 25th, I believe. But it opened back up over at Woodlawn and Lincoln. Excuse me, Rock and Lincoln. It opened back up. Other than that, we had fires in the last month here in our district. One was on 1900 South Edgemore. It was just a one-room fire. Candle, unattended candle. Don't have them as much anymore, but that still is up. Unattended candles. Another one was out on South or East Hunter, which that one was just going to be a triplex, and we think that was just due to homeless. So those are kind of the big events. There's other stuff you can read inside there. I didn't want to really go over everything, so make it easier for you to read it than for me to explain it. And that's it.
Any questions for Battalion Chief? I do want to thank you for bringing up the weather awareness. Like even tonight, we have severe weather predicted until 10 p.m. And I used to be in public health, and we always talk about making sure in your basement or your safe room that you have a kit. It's got shoes, flashlights, batteries, like you mentioned. But a lot of times people forget shoes and they go running downstairs, and then heaven forbid something does happen. And the first thing that usually happens in a severe weather incident, whether it be hail, wind, tornado, glass gets blown out and you're going barefoot through your home or your garage or whatever. So really go home and think about that. Think about everybody in your family, have a plan. So thank you, Battalion Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for your service. 28 years, right?
Almost.
Okay, thank you. Stay safe.
And Becky, if it's okay, Sedgwick County Emergency Management will come to your HOAs and neighborhood associations. They came to ours last time and they'll hand out little bags with the checklist of your go bags.
That's awesome. Good to know. Thank you for your tips.
That's Sedgwick County Emergency Management. If you just send them an email, they'll come to your neighborhood association with a big thing of those string bags with the checklist and some other stuff.
Can I give you an assignment?
Yeah.
Will you send us an email?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have John with Public Library Report. John, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Big Read Month?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And what's your favorite thing about Wichita besides Rockwell?
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Clarion. I'm the manager here at the Rockwell branch. Favorite thing about Wichita right now would be Great Plains Nature Center and the peaceful walking you can do in nature. It's a fantastic place to get away from it all inside the city.
I'm going to make a point of privilege. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. It's the only park facility in the nation that's funded and staffed and supported by the local government, the state government, and the federal government. So we have a gem right here in our own city. Yep. Right here in Dudok. All right, John.
So the Rockwell Library has been reopened about 6 months now. So those of you that are first time here tonight, we spent about $2.5 million on a remodel and expansion. We added 7,500 square feet to the facility. We have new paint, new lights, new shelving, new carpet. We've added an electric fireplace to replace the old fireplace, which was the only library here in the city with a fireplace. So
So it's Santa approved.
yes, a cozy living room area. That's where we keep our Wichita Eagle and our Wall Street Journal, and you can read there as well. We also have a drive-up window now. We added an east drive to the east side of the building here, so you can drop off your items without getting out of your vehicle. And you can also pick up holds at our drive-up window. All right, so here's what's going on in Wichita. As Becky mentioned, we have the Big Read Wichita going on right now. The 2026 Big Read kicked off Sunday, March 29th at the Maya Angelou Branch Library, where attendees were given a preview of the Rise Community Garden, which is a free garden area, raised beds where community members and staff members have planted items for the community to harvest this spring and summer. Also, we listened to live poetry readings and were given free copies of this year's selected reading, which is called Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude by the author Ross Gay. Programming will continue through April 26th with important conversations and engaging activities centered around the book's themes. Join us for book clubs, events to help manage mental health, crafty activities, tips and tricks for home gardening, and a deep dive into poetry. The culminating keynote event is at 4 o'clock on Saturday, April 18th at the Advanced Learning Library for live poetry readings from local poets with a panel discussion to follow. So please visit bigreadwichita.org to learn more about this. Please raise a toast to 150 years of your library. The Friends of the Wichita Public Library are excited to partner with Central Standard Brewing here in Wichita on April 26th from 12 to 5 p.m. A special batch crafted for the library's 150th anniversary called the Bibliomaniac will be on tap, and library-themed merchandise will also be available for purchase. To help celebrate National Library Week, the Wichita Public Library is hosting author Pete Davis, whose book, Dedicated: The Case for Commitment in an Age of Infinite Browsing, sparked a national conversation about commitment, participation, and community. He will visit us for an engaging conversation about why choosing something meaningful and sticking with it still matters. Davis will be joined by Wichita's Brandon and Danielle Johnson for a conversation about what commitment looks like in practice. Together, they will explore how long-term dedication strengthens organizations, builds trust, and helps communities thrive. At the event, the library will also launch the Civic Action Passport in partnership with the City of Wichita, Kansas Leadership Center, and Lead Wichita. This initiative is designed to encourage people across Wichita to participate in community life through simple, meaningful actions. The Civic Action Passport will highlight opportunities throughout the city, from attending community events to volunteering and engaging with local organizations. Please visit wichitalibrary.org/events to register for a seat at the Pete Davis Author Event at the Advanced Learning Library. This will be on Thursday, April 23rd from 6:30 to 7:30 in the evening. There's an adult spelling bee. Who says only kids get to have spelling bees? You can fly solo or swarm as a team of up to 4 contestants of the Wichita Public Library's 4th annual Adult Spelling Bee. Teams will compete in single error elimination rounds of increasing difficulty until only one team remains. The event is free, but registration is required. Only one person per team needs to register, but please list all of your team members as guests to ensure that there are enough seats available. On-site registration will be available the evening of the event beginning at 5:30. So please join us from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Friday, April 17th at the Advanced Learning Library. You can register online today by visiting wichitalibrary.org/events. And finally, I wanted to share the April Tuesday topic. The title of it is How Wichita is Cooling Our Community. This will be April 28th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Advanced Learning Library. Heat kills more people in the U.S. than any other natural hazard. There will be a panel discussion to address extreme heat conversations. Some of the topics and themes will be the tree canopy, energy efficient programs, and cooling centers available here in Wichita. So please join us April 28th from 6 to 7 at the Conference Center room in the Advanced Learning Library. And I'm ready to take any questions if there are any.
Get everything on the passport. Proud of yourself.
The passport, well, that as well as it's an opportunity for community members to get active in the community, provide identification, and just bring community and organization.
I just, I mean, again, I'm sorry, I can't help myself, but I'm gonna take. Life, something that I've been adamant about. Second life. I think people care about people, are sub-zero and free, but last year I was driving downtown. Barefoot and it was 100. And so I can't imagine. So thank you for bringing this topic. I worry not just about our unhoused, but our elderly or low income who maybe can't afford to run their air conditioner. I know there's lots of community programs that offer free. We think about people's comfort level and their safety when it's cold, but we don't when it's hot, and we need to. So again, thank you for being forward.
Yes, and all Wichita Public Library locations are air conditioned, and we welcome everybody to use them.
Thanks for all you do, John.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Next on the agenda is Park and Rec, and we're not able to attend this evening, but he's gonna submit a written report. And I can't help myself, but I'm so excited this Saturday, we start the Miracle League. I've been a Miracle League volunteer for a long time. If anybody's interested in learning more, please let me know. Had the same buddy for quite a while. We are starting kickball on Saturday. You have to have absolutely no athletic ability like me to be able to participate. It's just fine. All you do is support your athlete. The Miracle League allows some of our most vulnerable Wichitans, kiddos who have developmental or physical disabilities, to participate in. We play kickball, we play softball, we swim, we bowl. You don't have to do every session, but if you're interested in learning more, we go for 6 weeks and we take a break and then start for 6 weeks. But like I said, I've done it for quite a while. I've always had the same buddy and it's been fun to watch her grow up. So if you ever want more information, but Saturday starts the Miracle League, another awesome thing that the Wichita Park Department does to include everyone who's a Wichitan in the work that they do.
Where's that start at?
It's at Orchard Park and it starts this Saturday. So even if you don't want to volunteer and you just want to come and watch and cheer it on, we don't really play. We kind of play, but we cheer for everybody. We don't keep score. It's just a good opportunity for family and for kiddos. On new business, we have PUD 2026-00001, and we have Philip from the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Department. It's been a bit since you've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was here like 2 months ago,
Yeah.
but before then it was like years. So besides down to, man, I don't know. Really narrows it down. No, right now, actually gearing up for right now, I guess, kind of anticipating, one, we enjoy spring weather before it gets hot, but I got 2 elementary age kiddos, and I've said it to a number of people of just the investment that Wichita has put into the parks and aquatics, generational investments where we get to live and see the investment of what it was before and what it is now has just been phenomenal. Like I said, I've got 2 monkeys who every playground is an obstacle course and we have to find new ways to get across them weirdly. It's just super fun, and just to be able to do that and go to splash pads and things like that versus other communities, either our size or larger or possibly smaller, who let those things go by the wayside when dollars get tight. Wichita has been investing in them for the next generation, which has just been awesome. So, and I'll throw libraries in there too, because we live and breathe the library too. So.
Philip, before you get started, just so the district advisory board, and especially with the new member, we have a community member joining applicants. You're going to give your presentation. We're going to ask questions from the advisory board. Have any, and we'll have the applicant or the agent come if they want to make any comments. And the district advisory board will ask questions. Then we'll go out to the community, and any community members who want to ask questions, make comments, will have the opportunity. And then we'll see if the applicant or you want to make any more comments, and then we'll bring it back to the bench and vote. Everybody has the golden rules in front of them, and Aaron loves when I say this, so I can't help myself. Our goal, not our goal, our job as the district advisory board this evening is to make sure that we are following the golden rules, and also we're determining if it is an appropriate use of the land. Not if you like it, not if you don't like the color, not if you don't like, the design. Is it an appropriate use of the land to be rezoned? I also state, and especially for new district advisory board member and for community member, I have to remain silent. I can't officially state my position on any case this evening. Philip, let's hear it.
Yes, ma'am. And the gentleman in the red shirt is actually the applicant for this first case too. So he's been through planning commission. We heard this case at planning commission last Thursday. So this is a planned unit development amendment to the Buffalo Grove planned unit development number 83. It is located approximately south 127th Street East in East Pawnee. PUD, I guess I've got the power. I got the power. Yeah. Give me a second here. We got Jeopardy music. Nobody likes to read words. Pictures is worth 1,000 words. We'll get there. Here we go. Ooh. Okay, so PUD 83, it has 2 development parcels. You have parcel 1, which is the residential lots in the majority of the north, and then parcel 2 is in the southwest corner of the property, allows for limited commercial uses. This is in parcel 1. The amendment only applies to lot 25 right here in the corner, as you can see on the visuals of your staff report as well. When PUDs have residential lots that go under ownership, different ownerships, it gets a little tricky just because you're amending something related to the whole parcel, but it really only relates to one of the lots. So if it is approved, it would not allow this use pervasive throughout parcel 1. The recommended language that we have in your staff report, which is the red language on this previous page, identifies the proposed use only allowable on lot 25 block 1. Same thing with the proposed changes to the parking. In general, they're asking for a group residence limited for a home plus facility that is taking care of individuals who are kind of end stages of life, but in a home environment. Typically they don't drive. Typically they are generally homebound to the facility. The subject site is developed with a duplex. This residential area is in the process of developing. There's many of the lots that are currently undeveloped within it, but it is currently going through build out. So again, we're here down in the corner. Property to the north is not developed yet, and property to the west is also not developed. This is the detention pond for the development to the south. And then you have a platted reserve, which separates the lot from the golf course to the east. So the aerial map was taken before the duplex was built. The applicant intends to connect the 2 units in order to make a single family dwelling. So it'll be one large single family dwelling. They do intend to finish the garage spaces. Let's go to the pictures so we can see that as well. So essentially they're creating both sides into one living area, and it would be one group residence limited only. So we're not looking at one on both sides. It is just one dwelling. That kind of looks like two. A group residence limited has to go with Home Plus is a lot because they're licensed by the state, allows them up to 12. Our group home, which is allowed by right in all of our residential districts, only allows them to have 8 individuals to serve plus 2 staff members. When they want to have 12 individuals to serve, they have to go to group residence limited because that allows them up to 15 individuals to live together who are not related. So that gives them 12 clients to care for, and then up to 3 staff members who can reside at the residence as well, to not exceed 15. Your staff report has lots of information about the KDAD's definition, what a group residence definition is, and things like that. With group residence limited, you have to, it changes the parking requirement. Group home is still the standard of what a single family or duplex would be, which is 1 per dwelling unit. When you get to group residence limited, it requires 1 parking space per bedroom. And typically if it was in standard like TF3 zoning or SF5 zoning, typically they submit a variance application concurrent with their zoning application in order to address the parking and reduce it, because they don't want to have to provide 8, 9, 10, 12 parking spaces and pave their backyard or things like that, nor do we really want them to pave their backyard. Because this isn't a PUD, there's actually the opportunity to deal with the parking as well, because the PUD has custom zoning classification. It's a custom development standards. This one was written fairly simply with a lot of things harkening to standard TF3, things like that. It did have a general provision regarding parking. It actually required more parking than our code does, which is 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. And that with that, we're able to change the parking requirement in the PUD, and they don't have to do a variance. Since they're finishing the garage spaces, that's typically where the parking is provided for a lot of residential sites, is inside the garage. That's what the zoning code can allow. This gets to the dredges of the zoning code, and you guys are just riveted. But in residential zoning districts like TF3, so this one harkens a lot of its development standards to the TF3 district, parking is not allowed in your front setback. So the distance from your property line to where your house has to be built is your front setback. And technically, for most residential properties, your required parking space cannot be your driveway. Does it stop you from parking in it? No. But technically, your parking space or your house is probably provided for in your garage. Since they finished their garage, their parking would have to be outside the garage, which would put it in the front setback, and that's not allowed. So the reason that's written the way it is to essentially make sure that that becomes legal, that their parking, which is just 2 spaces, which is all the PUD requires, can be in the front setback, which means their employees can park their cars in the driveway legally because there's nowhere else for them to park off street. Does that make sense? Like I said, dredges of the zoning code.
Yeah. We usually.
Sure, no, absolutely. If it's a good time to ask a question on this, yeah. I believe one is already in place. It's been a while and I've taken other pictures by now. All of these things have, we got a nod in the head here. Yes, you can see there's a sidewalk here. There is sufficient space between the sidewalk and the house. And I'm stealing the applicant's thunder, but at Planning Commission, it was described that when they poured this driveway, they actually poured it larger. They paved more space in the front, understanding this is what they intended to do.
Setback a little farther.
Yes, and they provided more pavement to the south to allow for more cars in the parking in the driveway so that they're not blocking the sidewalk.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yes, Faith.
And you had said kind of at the beginning that the residents aren't driving, they don't have cars. So that's not going to be a concern with the cars.
Sure. We did hear some public comment at Planning Commission about folks concerned about deliveries and visitors, and I'll let the applicant address that. They own and operate another group residence for a Home Plus facility in Wichita, so they've got experience on what happens on day-to-day life. But there is still street parking available, and just like anybody can have visitors at their house, you know, I could have 12 people at my house and take them a whole cul-de-sac. That, you know, the same right is afforded to them, just like it would be anybody else in the subdivision, so. Mhm. Yes, sir.
Is this subdivision?
I don't know. Typically at this stage, it would probably still be with the developer, just based on the balance of how many lots are owned independently versus those that are owned by the developer still. So if it will have an HOA at some point, it would have to be established by the developer at that time. I don't think it is now, just based on its current state of construction. One of the comments we had at Planning Commission was from a lady who lives in the development. The other gentleman owns the other half of her duplex. And so they're brother and sister, and he owns one half, she owns the other half. He lives elsewhere and rents it out. But she didn't say anything about it, HOA, if that's anything. Overall, that's the general gist of the use and the parking and what the recommended language is about. Little bit of case history. The PUD was established in 2021. It was amended in 2022 to see the configuration we see today. And then there was an administrative adjustment for multiple lots to reduce their front setback in order to fit some dwellings on there in 2023 or in 2025, so very recently. We find that it's in conformance with the comprehensive plan, which calls for new residential employment mix, which actually calls for higher intensity residential because it could be mixed with commercial. The PUD allows for TF3 as well as multifamily residential up to 14.5 dwelling units an acre. So it's actually already harkening for higher levels of intensity. So allowing up to 15 individuals to live in one dwelling generally kind of coincides with that. Overall, staff is recommending approval. There's 2 conditions in your staff report. The first one really goes to the page that I showed you with the red language of we're recommending the following text that's in red, which will allow group residence limited being permitted only on lot 25, block 1. So if any other lot wanted to do it, they would have to come through this process all over again. The parking requirement for group residence limited as permitted on lot 25, block 1 is allowed to be within the front setback, as we discussed before as to why that is needed to be in there. I did mention the 2 individuals who spoke at Planning Commission with concerns of traffic, safety of people. They were on Blake. Let me go back up to the aerial map here. Their lot is on Blake, which is this one here. And their concern was just people, that the traffic coming in and going down, there's not a lot of front yard space, and their concern was like they have kids in the neighborhood who inevitably someone's going to be out in the street, was generally the comments that were discussed at Planning Commission from their perspective, and concerns of deliveries and things like that. Overall, Planning Commission recommended approval unanimously with a 12-0 vote this past Thursday on April 9th. And with that, I can stand for any questions, any other questions you have for staff.
Any questions from Deb? And Tracy, we got you if you have any online. Bruce?
Just wanted to clarify, I heard so many numbers coming at me.
Sure. Up to 15 total individuals can live in the house at any given time. Typically with Home Pluses, their license allows them to have 12, which leaves the remaining 3 for live-in staff members who will cycle, of course, you know, they probably have shifts. But yes. I think we had a question over here.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Chris, please.
Is this a business that?
I believe so. I will let the applicant describe. Typically, the owner doesn't live there. They leave those spaces of residence for live-in staff members, but I'll let him describe what their business is, I guess.
2 quick questions. Pension pond south of this lot, is that part of this subdivision?
Yes, it is.
And property directly to the west there at the corner of 1 Bonnie.
No, I'm sorry, you're talking about this property here? That one is parcel 2 within the planned unit development. And the PUD allows for commercial uses typically found in LC, limited commercial on that parcel. Yes. Yep. Okay, thank you.
I just did want to state there, I think the people who possibly spoke at MAPC provided a letter.
Yes, yes, Ms. Fast, yes.
Um,
Yes, my name's Dr. Chefu, and my favorite thing about Wichita, I have to say, is the YMCA. I've lived in multiple states, and 5 years. Yeah, so about the um, yeah, so with deliveries, we don't. It's a regular. So we don't.
Yeah, Chris, at least.
I guess I didn't, so are you?
No, it's just I and my wife.
How do people?
Sorry. Yeah, so usually when these homes they get licensed, reach out to
As a formality, is there anyone in the community who would like to speak to the issue? Seeing none, we're going to bring it back to the District Advisory Board.
thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for being here. Does anybody have any additional questions for Philip? Not discussion?
I think the need for this type of housing is really critical. I'm actually looking for something like this for a relative or neighbor of mine. There's just not a lot of places that are like this, and if the PUD is just, can they park in the setback, then I would make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second by Aaron. Is there further discussion? Okay, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Oh, no. You said nay. I'm so sorry. They said aye. I'm sorry. So it passes to 7-1. Okay. Philip, you're ready. We have item number 8. It's PUD 2026-00003. And before we begin, I have had no ex parte communication. I forgot to say first last time, no ex parte communication with the applicant, the agent, or any community members, and I did not attend MAPC. Thank you.
Oh, we're fighting over the mess. That's okay. There we go. Okay. This is also a PUD. This is a zone change to establish the Rivington Plan Unit Development, which would be PUD number 157. The current zoning is single family SF5. This property was recently annexed into the city of Wichita earlier this year. When the property was in the county, back in 2022, a conditional use was approved to allow accessory apartments on future platted lots. Within it, that never came to fruition, and here we are with the zone change within the city limits of Wichita to a planned unit development. The proposed uses would be single-family townhouses, which the PUD defines as duplex and multifamily. Our zoning code does not have townhouse as a defined term. Planning staff recommendation is approved with conditions. This was at Planning Commission as well on April 9th, and they recommended approval 12-0. There was no one in public opposition, and so the item was actually taken on consent. They did not have to hear it. The request is for a property that's on the north side of East 37th Street, about halfway between Greenwich and 127th, closer on the 127th side, as you guys can see. It is 70.6 acres in size. The applicant is requesting a zone change for residential development, and it can be a mix of single-family, duplex, and multifamily. Again, they define duplexes and multifamily as townhouses. which essentially can be more than one dwelling attached to each other. I believe it's up to 4 dwelling units per the PUD, with a density of no greater than 5 dwelling units an acre. To give you some perspective on that, if you have an SF5 property that's developed at the minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet per dwelling, you get 8 dwelling units an acre if you don't count streets and things going in there. So we're not talking about significant density when you think of multifamily development, to where there's likely just going to be a mix of single family homes and attached homes throughout the development. They're also looking for a community clubhouse, which would be like a neighborhood swimming pool. The PUD is allowing accessory apartments, which is not new, that's already allowed on the property today. Assisted living, group residence limited, which is something similar to what we just talked about. So if this previous case was to come into this PUD, they actually wouldn't have to have an amendment because it would already be allowed. And multifamily residential, like we said. They allow for ancillary parking, likely related to the community clubhouse or just auxiliary parking areas for residents and guests to use. As I mentioned before, the proposed allowance for multifamily is restricted to 5 dwelling units an acre. That is significantly less than 14.5 dwelling units an acre, which is allowed in TF3, 2-family residential zoning. It is restricted to townhouses only, but not apartments. So essentially you would have more of a row house type of multifamily development versus like an internal apartment building. So by multifamily, that's why they defined it as the townhouse, so that they could have control on what type of multifamily you're seeing with multiple dwellings that are attached to each other, instead of an apartment building. They define the townhouse as multifamily dwellings in which a group of 2 or more attached single-family dwelling units is constructed, so that each end extends from the foundation to roof and has open space on at least 2 sides. Each unit of the townhouse may be placed on a separate lot in which internal setbacks between each attached lot until shall be 0 feet. And it goes on. So essentially, it allows for them to be split up into ownership and have a common wall be their property line. There's development standards discussion in your staff report. The vast majority of why this is in a PUD is based on these setbacks. You can see there's a lot of talk between zero lot line development as well as the ability to have this townhouse development where you'd have the shared property line and then technically your setbacks are 0. That allows them to be detached homes, or I'm sorry, attached homes on separate lots under separate ownership. A zero lot line development says essentially this house is on the property line and it's now governed by a minimum building separation to the other one. So if this one's on the property line, then the other one has to be separated, I think it's 5 feet. I'm sorry, 10 feet.
Yes.
Yes, thanks, Brian. So there's a minimum 10 feet of separation. So if one is 5 feet off the property line, the other one can be 5 feet off the property line. So as long as you have 10 feet of separation, a building can be on a property line and the other one essentially has to react and be 10 feet away from it. So it's governed more by building separation and less by setbacks. They're set back from each other. Something to note about these development standards for these setbacks, not long ago, this board considered, where's my mouse here, a zoning case for a property about right here that has the same development standards that this PUD has. And the difference is the one that I just identified to the west had an alternative where they could have some alleys behind them and they had some setbacks and things related to alley properties versus non-alley properties. This one doesn't propose any alleys. So the setbacks in here are the same regarding front, rear, side, interior sides, things like that. The only difference between the two is we don't have to deal with setbacks from alleys and things in this one. So that one was approved earlier this year. This one's kind of a rinse and repeat, just slightly different for this 70 acres. So much of the PUD is exactly the same as the one to the west. Parking would be per the code. One dwelling unit says that each dwelling unit would have a minimum of 1 off-street parking space. Where that changes the code, so that's the same for the code for single family and duplex development. You started getting into multifamily and you start getting 1.25 up to 1.75 spaces per certain types of number of bedrooms and things. So if you start having these townhouse developments, they're only 1 per bedroom because really we don't need the extra requirement for the parking, because then you start needing parking lots and things like that. And that's just not what they want in the character of this PUD. Signage would be per TF3 district, which is very restrictive. Pretty much anything you would see in a typical neighborhood, which is really nothing. Any entrance signs on like a monument off of 37th Street is governed differently than zoning. They're essentially allowed to have their monument sign to enter the development. Screening and landscaping, any trash receptacles need to be screened to hide from ground level view with fencing and or landscaping. Landscaping would be per the Wichita Landscape Code, but would not apply to single family or two family or the neighborhood swimming pool. This is not a deviation from the code. Those are essentially already exempt from required to provide any official landscaping per the code. Multifamily development would need to be screened from abutting residentially zoned property to the northeast and south sides. There is a caveat in there that if there's multifamily development along the west, that screening is not required. Part of that is because there's a 140-foot transmission line easement that nothing can be built in. So essentially you're already buffered enough from residential property to the west. That way, they're not required to do anything over there because you already have just distance that's buffering them from property to the west. The PUD identifies a section of the code regarding screening that says that they can, instead of using a fence, they can use a landscape buffer, and it specifically cites the code regarding what the requirements of that landscape buffer has to be in order to be sufficient in lieu of a screening fence. So they're calling out the code, so that's very normal. Essentially, it's 1 tree per 30 linear feet with some shrubs. If you want to omit the shrubs, then you have to provide denser trees, and 1/3 of them have to be evergreen. So they actually have some variety of things that they can choose regarding landscaping to provide that screening. The context around the area, we kind of already discussed what's a little bit to the west. A portion of this property to the west, like I said before, is the PUD. It happens so recently ago that our zoning map is not updated yet. You can see there's still LI and a little bit of PUD on there. So you got a rectangle here. That is, there we go. I'm 40 now, my eyes don't work. I'm sure it just gets better, right, guys? Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a portion of the rectangle here is the new PUD that was just established. This portion of LI up here is actually in an active zoning case for two-family residential that's going to City Council on May 12th. Up here, another recent case, Greenwich has been very busy. It's in the county. This whole quarter section got rezoned to limited industrial. Everything else on the other sides have stayed the same. They're all in the county with rural residential development. As you can see, large lot single-family homes and maybe intermixed with a little bit of agricultural uses for their surrounding context. We talked about the case history on this site, that when it was in the county, it had a zone change to SF20, single-family residential with a conditional use for accessory apartments. Nothing came to fruition from that. And then in 2026 here, it was annexed into the city of Wichita. It has access to East 37th Street, which is a paved county arterial street. Because this is the only property on this half mile that's in the city, essentially the city and the county engineers wait till the whole half mile is annexed in, and then the street will go with one of the annexations. So 37th Street on this half of the mile is in Wichita. This part of 37th is still in the county. Right now, there are no plans in the city CIP for improvements to 37th Street, and Wichita Transit does not provide service out this far. Municipal water and sewer services are provided for, I think it's the Brookfield edition here, yep. And so they're in the area. They would need to be extended, obviously, into the site in order for development there. There's been going to be a significant improvements to facilities in this area, probably from private developers, just with the amount of development that's going on. And we know with public works and utilities that there's some water pressure in the area, issues in the area. The developer is aware of that, and of course, with everything going on there, I'm sure from all kinds of sides, there's going to be some improvements to the facilities. And obviously, if they can't get the water pressure, they're not going to be able to develop until the water lines can sufficiently support, the residential development that's intended.
We had a case a couple months ago. I think I got delayed. I let it go delayed 2 times. I said, no, we can't do delay 3, but it was because of water pressure. They
Yeah.
finally got it figured out.
Yeah, and like I said, just with the number of zoning cases we have for possible future development along Greenwich, there's probably going to be some sort of developer investment into public infrastructure in order to solve those problems. The community investments plan in this area is kind of showing its age. We kind of have it on the docket to do a minor update to our future land use map. It is almost 10 years old. It identifies the site as appropriate for rural and vacant. I don't think in 2015, when it was adopted, that Greenwich corridor area was going to grow as much as it is now. So it's really not in conformance with comp plan. That really calls for low density residential development on the urban fringe that's not connected to municipal services, that are mostly related to agricultural uses. So it's really not there. But when we really look at what development is going on around it, especially being adjacent to a new residential category, those are guidelines essentially to where you could surmise that new residential could be appropriate in this area as well. The land use compatibility guidelines, development should occur where necessary, supporting infrastructure and services exist or plan for extension concurrently with development. We've talked about some challenges in the area, but infrastructure is there, but future investment will be needed in order to supply to this site. Overall, staff is recommending approval. I've had one email exchange with an individual representing a property owner in the area. I don't know which property he owns. His only concern was the multifamily component. I explained to them that the density cap at 5 dwelling units an acre, and even sent the information about how that relates to single family development. Didn't really hear anything back from them, but that's the only comment that I've heard. Again, they were not at Planning Commission. I don't believe they're here this evening either. So that's the only thing that I've heard regarding this. Staff is recommending approval, subject to the PUD language that is in your staff report. And staff did not have any recommended changes. A lot of that is due to the one to the west. I think we had some minor tweaks and things like that. And when they submitted this one, they included all of the changes that we had on the other one. So really not a lot of work that staff had to do regarding the PUD at this time. So with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions for Philip? Philip, it was on consent for me.
Yes, it was.
Okay, Phillips, stay pretty close by. I don't see any questions. Would the applicant's agent like to make any comments? Brian, you think about 5 minutes would be enough?
I hope so.
Okay. Brian, you haven't been here in a bit.
I know, but I'll stand here as long as you want, but,
What's your favorite thing about Wichita?
well, it's funny, I saw something on CBS Sunday Morning that kind of made me proud of, not necessarily Wichita, but the region, and that was affordable housing. It sounds a little bit self-serving here, but but it is true. They had a family from Phoenix that, you know, they've been renting all their life. They're 45 years old, and then they showcased Topeka, Kansas. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then they showcased Pearl Lenexa later on or Olathe. Anyways, it's been one of my things that I've been pretty fortunate to be able to buy a house here in our community and make significant strides to paying it off and owning my own home. So I think I know some other, and I'm not young anymore, but I know some young people that have been able to afford houses, even though, you know, comparably it's still expensive, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than other communities. So that would be my favorite thing about Wichita and the region. So, and somewhat self-serving, but you know, I think Philip did a fabulous job explaining what's going on here. I would simply state I can stand here and answer any questions you may have. We did do a few things that kind of tailor to this property. One, with it being on the fringe of the city. This is pretty much the northeastmost part of the city. And with that, the sewer is going to be a challenge. We're making it work, but there's only so much density you can have in that area. And then with that, there's the big power line there. Typically, power lines aren't exactly exciting places to live next to. Nor are they desirable sometimes for some people. We've have the multifamily component really to kind of position along some of those power lines there and to provide some variety of housing for different types of folks. I do think as we get into the development process, there'll be multiple housing types, not just, obviously it would allow for multifamily, but that's not going to be the only thing that'll be here. It'll be probably the bulk of it will be all single family with a little bit of multifamily. So with that, the other unique things about this property is it's surrounded by hedgerows, and especially on the south, there's a significant hedgerow, and same with the west. It's also a very substantial hedgerow. I've kind of set it up so that we can maintain those hedgerows. I think we oftentimes live in communities where they just wipe out all the trees and then you start from scratch. Well, I think this one's kind of neat where we can probably try to keep a lot of those trees. Another unique part of this, and I'll let you answer some questions later, but there's some floodplain that's on the very corner of this property, down at the southwest corner. So we have to manage some of the floodplain that goes through there. So we're taking a look at that from a drainage perspective. I know this isn't a drainage item, but it's good to acknowledge that and let you guys know that we're looking into that and making sure that the models work and work for not just this property, but above this and below this property. So those are things that we're looking into and making sure will work. I don't know if there's anything else I should say, so I'll just answer any questions.
Perfect. Any questions for our friend, the applicant's agent?
And just I am Brian Lindeback with MKAC Engineering, 411 North Webb Road, just if I didn't say that.
Okay,
All right,
Brian, you're
thanks
off
so
the
much.
hook this evening. I don't see any questions. We'll go out as a formality. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to ask questions or make comments about this case? Okay, we're going to bring the discussion back to the bench. We have Philip and Case District Advisory Board members have questions, but any discussion regarding this case?
Just a simple comment. I'm glad that folks are building around here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Anything else? Oh, no
This is a
questions?
good project.
Okay. Anyone willing to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
what is the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the UD as submitted by staff.
Perfect, thank you. And Bruce, still same second? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, any discussion? With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, it passes unanimously, Teresa. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Brian. Y'all get home safe. Have a good evening. Last but not least, our friend from Housing and Community Services, Assistant Director Steve Burtz. Is this the first time you've been at District 2 Advisory Board?
Yes.
It's gonna be your favorite, I promise.
Okay.
Okay, so you sent out a YouTube video in advance.
Yeah, this is a little bit at your pleasure because I'm aware that you've seen the
Yes.
recording. The presentation is gonna be what it is going to be, since this is public comment period. It's really important to us that everybody gets the same information. That being said, I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
And if you'd like to take the time to dig into any of the pieces parts, like we did at District 1, I'm fine with that too. So if you want to stop me and dig deeper into something, I completely intend on moving super quick through all this
Okay.
very dull stuff.
No, it's fascinating, right? Yeah.
Some of it, I think, is to most of the
Sure.
community, because we're gonna sort of fringe on the side of homelessness, among other things. So if you guys want to do a deep dive, certainly let me know. I'm struggling, yeah. All right, so,
Steve, favorite thing about Wichita before we begin?
I don't know if you know me, I'm on the board of Musical Theater Wichita. Like, musical theater here is ridiculous.
Woo!
Ridiculously amazing.
You won us all over right there.
All right, why am I here? I am here because annually, let me back up. Every 3 years, we put together a plan of how we're going to spend these entitlement funds. Entitlement funds are funds that get distributed across the country based on population size and regular distributions. These are the Community Development Block Grant, the Home Funds, and the Emergency Solutions Grant. Every 1 year, however, we go back out for public comment to talk about how we're going to spend this year's money. That being said, I'm going to be talking about, I got a note. Some of the numbers I will be presenting to you are estimates, but I actually have the real numbers. I've not put them in here because A, they're not statistically significantly different than the estimates were, and B, everybody gets the same public comment. But just know that we are 0.45% different in the actual numbers than we are in the estimates.
Before you get started, sorry. I have a
Yeah.
question. Did the city or the group that's making a recommendation to the city about this, did they, because I sat on this committee, it used to be there's a mandatory minimum for prevention that has to be met, and then the rest goes for intervention. Are we still at that mandatory minimum, or have we increased that for prevention?
Are you talking about the Grants Review Committee's distinction about homelessness prevention?
Well, not necessarily specifically homeless prevention, but when it comes to how the funds are allocated, we were, I don't know if we still are, providing the mandatory, meeting the federal minimum for how much went to prevention versus how much went to intervention. So are we still just doing the minimum, or have we increased that prevention amount?
I'd have to get back to you on that. The specificity of your question, I don't want to get it wrong.
No worries.
Okay, so as I said, it's actually a 5-year strategic plan. We go out every year, and that's the annual action plan. Okay, it's sort of working now. The Community Development Block Grant is used for a wide range of community development needs, and you'll see me get into the meat on that. Home investment partnerships are used to create affordable housing for low-income households, and the Emergency Solutions Grant is used to address homelessness. Public comment period began on March 27th. We're attending all of the DABs to solicit public comment. I'll give you information on where to submit that public comment at the end, and we are in the 3rd program year of that 5-year plan. So we will submit this annual action plan no later than August 16th is our due date. For the 2026-27 program year, in an attempt to ease the burden of tracking and meeting expenditure deadlines, any funding previously allocated and not contracted was swept and reallocated into the current program year. That is shown on the spreadsheets as prior year resources. The award amounts for 2026-27 have not been released, but they have. That's a lie. I just don't have them in this presentation because they only came out on Friday. For the purpose of discussion and planning, the following approximate funding totals are outlined below, and I am within, like I said, 0.45% of those numbers. Community Development Block Grant is used for a wide range of community development needs. Our CDBG spending in this period is going to be a proposed $6,350,526,000. CDBG must meet national objectives, benefits to low to moderate income, prevent slum or blight, address urgent community needs. Used for eligible spending activities, not less than 70% of the spending must benefit low to moderate income persons and the city of Wichita's traditionally public services. There's a cap of 30% of the 15% of the award for public services. However, we're grandfathered in at 1.1 million. Total allocated in our community public facilities and infrastructure projects is 3 million. We're proposing that we are carrying forward into this current consolidated plan period for the Midtown Lighting Project, 504,878. That has sort of been on the books for a couple of years, and it's coming to fruition now. It just got cleared at City Council this last week. A bid that is less than that, so we're going to be reallocating that amount somewhere else. I tell you, spending HUD money is not easy. Demolition and clearance, we're setting aside $95,978 to MABCD to demolish structures. We're moving $2.4 million into public facilities. Section 108 loan proceeds of $620,925 and a CDBG allocation of $379.75 totaling $1 million are going to support the construction of a new community center in the Plainview neighborhood. Funding total of $4 million will be set aside for TBD acquisition rehab. TBD usually means we have some thoughts but we're not ready to talk about them yet. Funding in the amount of 1 million will be utilized to build non-congregate shelter on the Second Light site. I can talk about that if you'd like. We are building a 3-story building on the back of the Second Light shelter. It's 3 stories of 25 units each story. The first story is non-congregate shelter. All the units are the same. They are small efficiency apartments. So the first floor is non-congregate shelter. So you go through night-by-night shelter at Second Light, you move into the program bed, sort of into the dorm. You're working towards your housing plan to become housed. You have the opportunity to move into the non-congregate shelter on the first floor of that 3-story building. You then can move upstairs into permanent supportive housing on one of floors 2 or 3 into one of these efficiency units. So a little bit of that is set aside here. The rest of that money to build that is coming from the sales of public housing proceeds from the 352 single-family units. Yes, sir.
Is that non-congregate actually what it says it means, where you're not going to congregate?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Not 400K, that's for
TBD.
project that we're not talking about yet. That's not, when you say rehab, that's not like deferred maintenance.
No. Okay. Acquisition rehab is a general category.
Okay.
So this is the sort of breakdown on a spreadsheet version of what we've carried forward from prior years and what we propose spending in the total of 2026, 2027. Yeah.
Was the prior year or the lack of prior year spending, was that just from the difficulty of spending it for HUD, or was there?
Lots of different reasons. Midtown Lighting, for instance, on this is that it just has taken this long to get through its process, right? From engineering to bidding, some of the internal systems at the city, they just take time. Some of the planning on this just takes time. And so you put all these things together and it's always crossing program years. It'll be different reasons in different categories. If it comes up again, I'll be happy to address what my thoughts are on that.
But that can roll forward. If it's not, no spin, no lose.
Yeah, exactly. Sally Stang's our director and she's absolutely amazing. She knows all this stuff at the top of her head. And all of these grants have different spending allocation periods. Some are 3-4 years, some are 6 years, and some are longer. So she knows exactly how much time we have to spend all of these. And we never commit to spending something if we can't at least think we can get it spent in 6 years.
And we always get a no-cost extension. And the money can be expended and we don't.
But that's what this is. Yeah. The extension is the annual thing, but there's always a hard line cap at like 6 years. So we don't commit to something that we can't spend in 3 just in case.
We're not losing money. I think
we're not losing money or giving any back.
No-cost extension.
Correct. Community development block grant, some of the housing activities we're doing, our home repair program, we've allocated 1.26 million to it, our home repair project funds, and then the program delivery. This program is where folks who meet income requirements, who have home repair, mostly simple home repair projects, life and safety ones get prioritized over others, but we're replacing people's roofs, HVAC systems, that sort of thing. This is go ahead.
You say home repair, or I mean, when you say meeting, you're talking about like below poverty, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks in our community who own their home, but are also really tight in their budgets. And sometimes the furnace goes out and that's really challenging for them. Acquisition, disposition, and rehabilitation. This is sort of the other side of that TBD category on something that we have in mind, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. So sorry to be so vague like that. Conversations are happening with City Council and with others about some thoughts about that. This is the Community Development Block Grant. Under the housing activities, you've got the carry forward and then 2026-27 total allocated spending. Also on here is the rehab group of 12 former public housing units. We're carrying forward just a little bit to finish that project. We purchased using CDBG funds 12 of the former public housing houses. We've rehabbed them and we're putting them back on the market with affordability restrictions so that they stay affordable housing in our community. We're just all had to carry forward just a little bit so we could wrap that up. CDB administration and planning, program management. This is across our entire department, indirect costs, of course. And we are putting on a fair housing training at our housing conference in October. More to follow. This is just the same thing in a spreadsheet format. CDBG public services, total allocated $1,160,000. There is a cap, but of course we are about at that cap. We are assisting the Office of Community Services with their folks, their community service staff at Atwater, Colvin, and Evergreen. We have an internal public permit supportive housing project called Housing First. We share that with the county. They contribute to that as well. And then the Way to Work is our summer youth employment program, and that's funded out of CDBG's public services. We put out Community Development Block Grant public services funding in RFP in December of 2025, as well as we potted in homelessness prevention funding of 50 grand into this pot as well. That $50,000 was only available because we had given that amount of money to an agency and then they were unable to fulfill that. So we took that over in the last year. And then we were re-RFPing it out for somebody else to take it. And I'll tell you that story here in just a minute. A total of 10 agencies submitted applications for CDBG public services funding, and we pulled together a grants review committee. City Council appointed a representative from each council district. There was a representative from USD 259, Wichita State, large and small businesses, Wichita Independent Business Neighborhood Association, United Way, and Sedgwick County. The Grants Review Committee reviewed applications for CDBG public services activities, made their recommendations, and you'll see that on the following page. And these recommendations will be brought to the City Council on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 for approval. These are the subrecipients that totaled the $475,000. Catholic Charities Harbor House is a domestic violence shelter. Colvin Kids Club, it's an after-school program. Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters, Prime Fit Youth Foundation, a mentoring program. Masters and Mentors is also a youth mentoring program. Wichita Family Crisis Center is a domestic violence shelter. Wichita Children's Home, United Methodist Open Door for their day services, and Stepstone, which is also a domestic violence long-term transitional housing program. You put together all of the City Manager's Office of Community Services, Housing First, subrecipients on the Public Services RFP, and the Way to Work, and we total $1,160,000. Home investment partnerships are used to create or fund affordable housing for low to moderate income households. All funds allocated in previous years, but not under contract, were swept for reallocation. The home funds, we are proposing $10,224,621.15. Program administration, 156, indirect charges, home duplex engagement and pre-approval architectural plans contract. We are working with MACPD to develop a standard set of plans for duplexes in order to reduce costs for affordable housing development to build multi-family housing. Just to kind of bring that down, everybody thinks that's a great idea. Our home ownership program, down payment assistance at $986, and our home ARP 4477099, and that's for the funding of the development of 25 units of non-congregate shelter and supportive services for such. So that's another piece of the funding matrix for what we're calling Park Landing, the 3-story building on the back of Second Light. And then tenant-based rental assistance, TBRA, is 1.6 million, and that is specifically to house homeless people. The Housing Development Loan Program, HELP, $2,905,901. Funds are used by nonprofit or for-profit developers for the development of affordable housing, rental, and homebuyer units, including rehab and new construction. There's a minimum 15% we must spend with CHODOs, Community Housing Development Organizations. And those community development housing organizations are like nonprofit developers that meet certain guidelines about their board makeup and public input and all of that. HDOP applications will be reviewed by the Affordable Housing Review Board. Housing Development Loan Program and money into those programs.
So the last program on the previous slide, so I want to build a house next to me when the parcel, it was a vacant and I bought it, and I want to build a house. I can apply for those funds, or is it just for entities?
It's for entities with experience doing that, for-profit, nonprofit developers. So there's a requirement that you have to have experience in order to access these funds. Partnering with somebody else who's done it with you to do that will get you the experience so that you can do that on your own next time. Spending this money is really complicated.
Anything with HUD is coming.
Yeah. And only Sally Stang understands it all. Okay. So the CHOTA requirements, that's kind of the list: the capacity, experience, community representation on the board, lack of for-profit or public control, and that they have the specific purpose of development of affordable housing. Mennonite housing is a CHOTA, and Habitat for Humanity is not. So it's a fine line, and it can vacillate between program years even. Here's the sort of the home allocations put together on a spreadsheet. You see, this is challenging. It's challenging to read. It's fun to put together.
Oh yeah, I had a question. You said the rental assistance, you have to be homeless to apply for that. It's not to prevent you from becoming homeless.
I'll talk about homelessness prevention here in a moment.
Thanks.
The Emergency Solutions Grant, between what's been prior year and what we're currently allocated is a total of 431, include shelter operations, outreach, essential services, and major rehabilitation conversion, homeless prevention, and rapid rehousing. We have a couple of these programs internal to the city. Our homelessness prevention. Okay, here's the story. Funding was made available during the winter of 25-26 via an RFP process for the provision of homeless prevention. Only one organization applied for the funding. However, it turned out not to be an eligible project. So the Housing and Community Services will use these funds in 26-27 to target previously homeless households who have been receiving rental assistance, who are also now at risk of returning to homelessness. This program is designed to address our community's return to homelessness rate of 25%. Does that make sense? Okay.
Steve, one of our DAP members has a question. Is there a strategy to refill this pool of funds, or is this project a one and done idea?
Which project?
Sure.
Is it Tracy?
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll take a moment. Happy to come off. Homelessness assistance, encampment and unsheltered coordination services will include 157,768 from prior year and 164,71 from program year 2026. So I have leaned in my department pretty hard into working on the unsheltered space. Second Light's working really hard on the shelter growth and filling gaps in the shelter system. But it also occurred to us through the Clutch consulting model and some consultation we got from Houston, the person who reduced Houston's unsheltered homelessness by 60%. We're role modeling ourselves, and we are out in the community and in encampments, housing people directly out of encampments. We housed 3 people last week from Johnny Mac Bridge. It's just really important. We're also using ESG money to do rapid rehousing, which is short-term rental assistance for people who've newly found themselves homeless but have income. Those are most likely the folks who were living paycheck to paycheck, and then something happened and they fell into homelessness. All they need is a quick hand up in a month or 2 of rental assistance and maybe a deposit to get into a new unit, and then ESG program administration.
The duplex development.
The duplex, we are using that money to build a set of replicable plans that don't then ever have to be recreated for the purposes of developers to use at their will. They can be modified, but the standard set is already done for them.
Is there such a thing as a modular unit that can be picked up by a forklift, for instance, and moved place to place, can be cleaned out easily, and still provides bathroom and a bedroom? homeless?
Multifaceted answer. There is an organization here in town who is moving a modular home factory, replicating Becky, do you remember? It's in Oklahoma. They're moving, and so there's you've seen in the news, Steve Fielmeyer's group. They are pumping out. Their plan is to use workforce development services through WCU Tech to build this factory to move a lot of modular homes into our community quickly to put on vacant lots. Now, if you're asking about tiny homes for homeless people, we generally don't love to do that because that would be a program. That would be a transitional living program. There's a place in Northwest Arkansas that put a lot of tiny homes on one lot, but it's program heavy and they've got a system there to help them move back into the community to live amongst everybody else, right? And that would be the Housing Choice Voucher Program. That would be anybody with the voucher program can go live anywhere they want. You're not concentrating poverty that way. But the tiny home communities that have developed over the country have to be sort of really program specific to help the people address the needs that got them into homelessness so that they don't end up coming back into homelessness at the end of that.
The temporary shelter is what I have in mind.
Yeah, you have, and one of the issues too, because this has been proposed to us before, you have to have the land. And then also you have to have plumbing, you have to have water and sewer. So instead of going in that direction, and tell me always when I'm wrong, Steve, but we have decided to go and follow more along the model of the Haven for Hope in Texas, where we have emergency shelter, but then we also have the services available, and then we'll now have housing, transitional housing. So no, that's not the direction, because we can't do both. We don't have the funds to do that and to do what we're doing in the second.
Right. As soon as you build a modular home, you're out of price range of anybody that's homeless. As soon as you put that on the lot, they can't afford it.
People moving out of homelessness are using vouchers in which there is an agency or HUD paying their rent at market rate. And all of these manufactured homes that are coming online are within payment standards of that rent. What we are trying to also do when we are moving a family into a unit is we are also projecting what their income potential may be. Once they acquire employment and get on their feet, if a family is set to make minimum wage, okay, well, then we know we need to make sure that we put them in something that they can afford if that voucher ever ends. There's a large group of people in our community who are making $967 a month because they're receiving SSDI or SSI, Social Security Disability. Those are the folks that were meant for Section 8. And Section 8 means that the Housing Choice Voucher Program of Section 8 is paying a majority of the rent, 70% of the rent. They're still responsible for their, 30% of their income. And what we're trying to do is those who don't have disabling conditions, who are employable, we're trying to make sure we set them up for success and get them connected to workforce programs so that if we move them into somewhere where we're paying the rent, that rent doesn't exceed their ability to somehow pay that at 100% someday. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, and I appreciate all of that. There is a little shock that soon comes after you do all this, and that's called the electric bill. And then they're out of home again.
The Housing Choice Voucher Program has a utility assistance built into the payment standards so that we make sure that that doesn't price them out of the home we just put them in.
And the city has water assistance programs, so we
Right.
Families with no income have their utilities paid.
Right.
No, it's part of the Section 8 HCV program.
How long is the wait list for Section 8 right now?
If they're coming through homelessness, I'm moving them right in. If they are not coming from homelessness, it's running up 2 to 3 years.
What is your actual position, sir?
I'm the Assistant Director
Of?
the Department of Housing and Community Services.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. To follow up on Becky's comment about Haven for Hope, the dream is even better than that. It's Bergen County, New Jersey. Bergen County, New Jersey purpose-built a facility that the Public Housing Authority owned and managed. And the services in the facility were operated by all of the nonprofits, so nobody owned it. Nobody owned the work, but it was Julia Orlando who made sure everybody was doing what they needed to do. This facility it still exists, has multiple levels. You can sleep on a mat, you can sleep in a bunk, you can have your own room. If you move into this shelter, it assumes that you're going there in order to end your homelessness. And you're on a mat and you stay on a mat and you don't actively work towards ending your homelessness, you're going to stay on the mat. We're not going to kick you out, but you're going to stay on the mat. You work your housing program, life's going to get better for you. You're going to move into a bunk. You stop working a housing plan, you're probably going to go back to a mat. And every client is held accountable to the housing plan. What are your needs and how do we need to meet your needs? Because our goal here is to end your homelessness. Second Light is bigger than that. Because yes, there's going to be no barrier, low barrier. There will be mats on the floor, but there's also a bunk room. And once we get this Park Landing built, guess what? You may even have your own space. And then you may move upstairs. We're actively working on eradicating any barrier that would prevent anybody from going to Second Light. That would be animals, that would be your partner, that would be your stuff. We understand all of the barriers that have long time prevented people from going into shelter. We have to put them in a family shelter. And so the goal here.
What family shelters? They're all full all the time.
The goal here is that all of the shelters will be working together. And the buildings that are more appropriate for families will stop providing for single adults and will instead, we will all do so in a coordinated way. If you go to Second Light and you go to the triage desk and you're a family and there's we can't have children in there. Otherwise we're gonna have to background check everybody. But we're gonna refer you over to the family shelter that I know has space or not. Number two, this is where I'm going to start getting myself into trouble.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's okay. I'll
Teresa,
back you up.
I'll stop typing, Steve.
There we go. Good.
Do you know how many times I have gotten a voucher application for a family who's been in Wichita for less than a day and they are at the family shelter? But everybody tells me every time they call the family shelter, there's no room. How'd the family from New Mexico get in there? I have no idea. So who's telling me that they're always calling the family shelter and there's never any room? I don't know. Is that just popular opinion?
Always. I just know that it happened in the situation I've been involved in.
I mean, at the end of the day, if Second Light and we can create this triage desk and all of the community providers really put their egos aside and we all agree to work together, and then we will be able to, that veteran walks into Second Light, oh, you know what, let's get you in a car and take you over to the veteran shelter. You're 18 years old. You know what, maybe we need to get you in a car and drive you over to the Wichita Children's Home shelter for 18 to 24-year-olds. Oh, you just were committed domestic violence. I think we need to get in a car and go over to Wichita Family Crisis Center. You're not welcome here, but maybe there's a better place for you. We don't have this infrastructure right now. We are going to have this infrastructure.
And the Coalition to End Homelessness will be part of that, the continuum of care.
I'm finding myself dragging them along with me, but yes.
And police seem to go along with it.
I am in those encampments with a hot team. I'm not going. I stopped my outreach team. They're so spectacular. They'll go. They'll just go. I'm like, wait a minute, take the hot team with you because the hot team's out there too, but they're over here. Why don't you know, let's work together and get it all done. I promise, one person at a time.
And then our Park and Rec team is responsible for cleaning up the shelter.
Because that's what happened in Houston. So Houston had a ginormous encampment problem downtown. They went in with housing resources and they housed everybody in that encampment. They closed off the area, made it something different. And all of those people went into housing. Am I working that quickly? I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to house people as quick as we can. We just closed an encampment this week, and I got about 3 of 10 housed, but I know where the other 7 went. So I'm going to chase them down and get it done.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're amazing.
I like it.
All right, so that's the ESG allocations. I'm cognizant that I owe you an answer to the question, Faith. Important dates and times, public comment period, March 27th to May 4th. We will close public comment period when we go to City Council on May 5th. And then we submit that to HUD no later than May 15th, even though I think they've extended the deadline to August, but the sooner we get it submitted, maybe the sooner we'll get our funds. And I stand for questions.
The housing voucher, I know on the homeless task force, there's a lot of talk about how can we target landlords better because they're just not taking them. I didn't see anything in this where there's a program to target specifically to grow that pool of landlords that'll take vouchers.
You know, that conversation started a little bit offline, and the coalition took that on, and they built a next tenant. They got some funds, and so they are out recruiting landlords, and they're putting them in this one database. My team is doing really well in building personal relationships with individual landlords, and they're able to move people in 3 to 5 days. So I think, yeah, we need more landlords to accept the voucher programs.
Steve,
We're not struggling with that right now.
didn't we develop some safety nets so that way if landlords were hesitant, we could say if there is damage, whatever, there's some funds available to help with that, or?
We've done that in the past. That is a best practice,
But it wasn't used, correct?
but it wasn't used, so we put it away. Because what it does is you set aside, $30,000 for a landlord incentive fund, and you enter into a relationship with the landlord where you agree that if you take the Section 8 voucher, we'll cover any damages created by the client. But you've got like a year to submit the claim. Well, we never got any claims submitted, and then we can't use the 30 grand for anything else. And so it just becomes, that's sort of every community's experience, is that nobody ends up using it.
I often quip about homelessness in our community that there isn't a silver bullet, there's silver buckshot. And we're trying everything that we can to try.
Well, in very focused ways, right? Like, somebody started at DAB 1, have you surveyed other communities and how they're ending homelessness? I'm like, I don't presume to know how to end homelessness. So if Bergen County, New Jersey ended homelessness, I'm going to reach out to Julia Orlando and bring her here and say, how'd you do it? And she's still in consultation agreement I transferred, I was working with her for a few years, and now Second Light's working with her to recreate that model. And then I saw on CBS News Sunday this morning, I think, didn't it come up? They did a story on how Houston reduced unsheltered homelessness by 60%. Who did that? Oh, Mandy Chapman Semple. Ring, ring, will you please come to Wichita? And she spoke at our housing conference, and then I developed a consultation agreement with her. And my unsheltered model is replicating what she did.
Any other questions for Steve?
Yeah, just so that you write it down so you don't forget, will you double check and find out if we have exceeded the percentage of prevention versus intervention versus what we've been doing for the last forever? Because I hate to see so much infrastructure and investment into a homelessness system when we're not focusing on prevention. I would like to see that get to the point where it does that. So it's not that I don't think we need both and, I'd like to see more investment in prevention.
United Way just announced their funding allocations today, 4.1 million, and I think there's a good 500,000, if I'm not mistaken, in homelessness prevention. We're very clear that inflow is important, and there's a few big topics on the agenda to talk about inflow. I'm working on one now. I'll tell you that in a minute. The other one is, I brought that up earlier. It's about 25% of people newly experiencing homelessness in Wichita aren't from here. And how do we control that inflow? Do you turn them away? Do you close the borders, if you will, wink, wink? And I think we've decided that that's not appropriate, right? So the next question is, and what we're leaning into now is, where exactly are they coming from and why? And are those communities, is there something going on in those communities that we can talk about, discover? Why is it happening? Why is it coming from there? And if it's our non-Wichita Sedgwick County friends, if it's our neighboring communities like Andover and neighboring Butler County, Harvey County, if it's sort of nearby, then the regional thing sort of makes a little bit of sense, because that's what happens with veterans, because there's no veteran shelter in Hutch, right? So of course they come into Wichita. And that population is 33% non-Wichitans. The other big fuel into homelessness in Wichita Sedgwick County is the criminal justice system. And so, you know, there's a few entities that are independently acknowledging that they have parolees and probationers who are homeless, but they don't know what to do about it. And so they just don't do anything about it. I had a conversation, it was a really uncomfortable conversation with a leader at KDOC who said, I can't make them get housed. And that confused me because I'm 100% sure that the participation of a parole officer would be really helpful leverage in getting somebody to accept a free housing voucher. And the retort was, we cannot compel them to. Well, I don't know how then it would be okay for you to allow a probationer or a parolee to camp on public land against ordinance. But okay, so I'll take a step back, and I'm currently building relationships with probation officers and chief parole officers and just taking this one step at a time and educating. Meanwhile, Sally, y'all don't know what's on my resume, but I ran the only prisoner reentry program in the state of Nevada for 11 years. It's my thing and I love it. I'm going to build a prisoner reentry coalition, a homelessness justice related something. I don't know what I'm doing, but Sally gave me the permission to set aside some vouchers for them and to start working with them before they get out. That's going to be a long road. Given what I've already discovered, I thought this would be easy, and 3 months later, I'm still struggling even to get meetings on the book. That's scary to me, but it is a significant contributor to the inflow of homelessness in Wichita Sedgwick County. And if I'm not addressing, I can't just address outflow. I know I'm also needing to address inflow, but it's a tall order and I'm taking it one bite at a time.
Am I here, Rob?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Steve?
So you need a lot of people at the first city council meeting in May cheering on the.
Yes, sir.
Just one more comment. There is numerous mobile home parks that are 30–40% used. Electricity, water, sewer, all ready to go. All we gotta do is park something right there. And we can provide something for homeless and the, see, we pay for rent or whatever. Just a thought in case it hasn't come up.
Can I
Thank
make
you.
a comment to that? And I appreciate your thought. We do have a manufactured home community in District 2 that somebody proposed that there could be RVs or such, and we did not approve it. Because if you live in a manufactured home community, like the one on Greenwich, that's your neighborhood and that's your community. And they were very concerned that it was going to change the character of their neighborhood. And so this district advisory board and the city council did not approve that.
Yes, you would have to have a willing
Yes, yes,
park owner.
yes.
Yeah.
And we would want,
Those are owned homes.
and we would want our voucher.
Landlord.
I catch, yeah,
Voucher program, investment opportunity.
I hear you. Everything's more complicated than we think.
But I appreciate you thinking. Anything else for Steve?
I just want two comments. One, I had the opportunity to go to the superintendent's breakfast a month or two ago, and I assume all of this is with school counselors and they know how to help families. And they told a story about a young family and they were helped within hours. So I'm assuming your department was involved in that.
No, actually, the HUD funds the McKinney-Vento program, which is a homelessness program specifically embedded within any school district to make sure that homeless kids can get to school from wherever they may be in an unsheltered or sheltered status. The United Way is building a family homelessness sector. So just like ending veteran homelessness is unique to its resources, ending youth homelessness and family homelessness is unique to its resources. So the infrastructure is getting built for that right now too. Generally speaking, I think the McKinney-Vento programs at the school districts have struggled with actual housing resources, but those are now coming online now too.
So I guess I was talking more the soon to be homeless. And if those family members came to school, does the school district know who to refer them to, I guess? Is that all shared knowledge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as a 3-time combat veteran, I appreciate what you're doing to the veteran department. I know, as I'd like to think I'm still young, but it's my generation of veterans who are starting to struggle. And
Thank you.
really starts hitting them. So
thank you.
Appreciate what you're doing.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your service, Chris. We always appreciate it.
That wasn't about me.
And I'm sorry, I will step gently on my soapbox, but I'll make it quick because I know we want to get out of here. But you bring up a really good point of students in schools. And one thing that I'm very cognizant of, and I always appreciate housing and their philosophy in this as well, is when we think of the unhoused, we think of homelessness. My mind automatically goes to people you see living on the street. And especially if you work downtown like I do, you see them every day. But we also have homelessness in our community, especially with families and kiddos in schools that are couch surfing. They're staying with this friend until they can't stay there anymore, and then maybe they go stay with grandma and then whatever. And so that's a whole nother issue that people aren't talking about as much because we don't see it. But I know our housing department does address it. So I could not thank you and your team enough. I think every city employee is just fantastic, but we, even on council, say at the time, the housing department is just phenomenal, and the work that you do and the hours that you put in is not lost on me. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for being here. We are getting ready to wrap up.
Wait a minute.
It is 8 o'clock, so I'm anticipating the front door is open, is closed, or will be soon. So we're gonna use this side door. I always remind y'all, it's getting dark out, I'm sure by now, even if it's kind of dusky. There isn't great lighting. You have to take a step down. So you can try that one for sure.
That sounds scary.
I know, if you go, it's not that bad. If you go out this way though, just please use caution because you do have to take a step down. As always, thank you, Teresa. We appreciate your time, appreciate all of your efforts and making sure we're where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be here, getting the information we have. Any comments or questions for the good of the order? If not, I would entertain, first of all, our next meeting will be Monday, May 11th, 2026. Is there a motion to adjourn? Teresa, take your guess. Second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, you can stay. See you next month. Let me know if you need anything in the meantime. Thank you for your service, friends.
Thank you for yours.
Thank you, thank you.
Finally, talk to somebody who knows what he's doing. How long have we had him?
He came from the United Way a bit ago. What do you mean, we always have people come up there?
Not with that spirit.
He's very spirited.
He is fantastic.
Yeah, how long has he been in that department?
I can't tell you for sure.